Hello, fellow crime fighters. Randall here from Randall-T Productions. It's been a minute since we've done a video together, so I thought I would share a little bit of info on VEP. That is Vienna Ensemble Pro. It's something that I've used for many years now, and I find it to be a very handy tool, and actually it helps me get a lot more out of my computer than I would if I mean, most people have really, really nice computers. I have old computers and I get by with what I have, and VEP helps me get that done. And I combine that now with some template tricks to really help my workflow so I can get some things done very quickly and improve my creativity. So I thought I'd share those with you today and see if it's helpful for you at all. So let's get right into it. First of all, I have two computers in my studio, and they're both old machines. So my main machine is a 2012 Mac Pro. It's 12 cores. That's supposed to be a good thing. It's doubled up on those cores. And then I just recently grabbed a Mac Mini 2018. Both of them are loaded with 64 gig of RAM, and that's quite a bit of RAM, except in a world of music. Actually, you can chew up that RAM really quickly, and you'll find that with all of your virtual instruments and all your plugins for effects and all those kinds of things, you'll go through that really quickly. So what I've done is I've tried to leverage other tools to help, get the most out of that, out of my horsepower that I have in my machines and out of the memory that I have in my machines, because I don't have a lot of money to invest in those kinds of treats of having really powerful machines. So I'm getting by with what I have, and it seems to be, working pretty well for me. So let me show you how I'm doing that. The two machines are talking to each other actually over the Ethernet connection in my home. Normally your computers talk over the Ethernet and talk to the internet and whatnot that way. So it's pretty simple to connect the two together. Vienna Ensemble Pro 7, there's the link there, so you can go find it and take a look at it. It's not that expensive, actually. I actually own two copies of it, one for my big machine, one for the smaller machine, so I can run them both the same, and we'll explain why that works. It's a software that's basically a host software, and we'll explain how that works as we get into it. So this is kind of what it looks like. It looks very similar to kind of some of your other software you use, your digital audio workstations, your DAWs, except that this host doesn't actually record anything. So it's just playing the music that is triggered from your DAW. And all it's doing is holding all of your virtual instruments and playing them as they're triggered from your DAW. But in my case, I'm having it done on the little computer instead of on my big machine. And the reason I do that is to free up the resources on my big machine to do other things, right? So what I was finding was that my DAW was, as I was trying to do all my effects and all my virtual instruments inside the DAW, it was just a lot for the DAW to do. Now, they're designed to do that, but also my machine was not the greatest machine. So if I had a big, super huge Battlestar Galactica computer, then it would be fine. I don't. So between not having a super big computer and having all the plugins I wanted to run, I was just running out of gas. And actually, I bought VEP my first time around, but when I started using it, I didn't have a second computer. I just ran it to the side of my DAW. So I was running the DAW, and then I was running VEP 6 at the time on the side of it. So I was running both programs together. And why did that work? It was still the same computer, same horsepower, but the DAW wasn't having to do all the work, all the heavy lifting of the virtual instruments by itself. It was letting a different program handle some of that work. So it was kind of offloading some of that work to a different program. Even though it was still on the same computer, it helped. And you can only imagine now, if you do that and actually put that workload onto a separate computer altogether, it's going to free up a lot of resources on your main computer to allow you to do some really fun stuff and not be burdened with, slowing down, having your tracks, crash on you, or have your tracks glitch and make funny sounds, or not even be able to load a virtual instrument because there's not enough horsepower there for you to run it. So this is kind of what it looks like. It's just a bunch of channels of things, and we'll show you what that kind of looks like as we go along. So why? So basically, my dock couldn't keep up with my plugins, right? And so VP helped me even on a single computer. I was able to make some headway and still get quite a bit of work done on a very low cost machine and a smaller machine at the time, and that was very helpful. I prefer to keep my virtual instruments live, meaning I don't print them or I don't commit them to tracks. Now, a lot of people do, and they swear by that, and it's the only way to go. And it also saves you on the horsepower problem. But I do so much tweaking as I'm producing. So, like, I'll have a piano part, and I'll be moving notes and things around all day long as I'm doing stuff. As a vocalist sends me tracks, they'll sing something, and I'll want to redo a little bit of the piano part to work around their vocal part or whatever. That would mean I'd have to unfreeze the track, do the tweaks, refreeze the track, and I feel like I'm just wasting time and everything. And I'm also being distracted from the moment. I'm from the creative part of what I like to do while I'm producing. I don't want to be thinking about technically uh, freezing tracks, unfreezing tracks. Do I have enough horsepower or whatever? I want to be able to be creating all the time, and so I like to have all my virtual instruments pretty much live that I can just start playing, tweaking, changing anytime, literally all the way into mastering. I will change notes even as I'm mastering a track. It's not uncommon at all. Um, I also like to control my instruments separately. So when I have a bunch of stringed instruments, for example, like the violins one and two, and violas, cellos, and all the basses and everything like that, I like to have them on separate tracks so I can control them, treat them differently, EQ them differently. Because yeah, you can put them all into one big chunk and EQ them all separately or together, and certainly works. But I find that if I have a little more control that way, I get a better result. And that's just kind of my old school from how I was taught to engineer back when I was younger. So that's something I like to do, and having all those VEP allows me to do that very well and very successfully. And then the other thing I like to do is have templates ready, and that's one of the big points of this video is how you can kind of leverage templates to help you be putting together, once again, getting through the creative mode as quickly as possible, as opposed to spending time setting up things all day long just so you can record a little bit of music. And so VEP helps with that quite a bit, actually. And I'll show you how I do that and how it's starting to really work really well for me. So this is how it starts. This is Pro Tools right here. And so you go to Pro Tools and you can see that, like, you pull up and you say, I want to use Vienna Ensemble Pro. You start that up and it pulls up this strange looking gray box that says you're not connected. That's all there is in Pro Tools, basically. There's no interface for notes or instruments or anything like that. It's just a gray box that says nothing. And so right now it's looking to connect to a host. And that host can be on the same computer or can be on another computer, as I have in my case now with my little Mac Mini, right? So either way, it's a benefit, right? But you're going to set up a host computer. So that's what we did over here. And I set up my host computer. You might notice here something kind of fun is that my host computer, my Mac Mini, I'm actually running it out of a Chrome browser. Chrome actually has a remote desktop protocol now built into it that allows you to control another computer right from the browser. It's free, works great. I use it all the time. And so I can pull up, and you'll see me using it a little bit later in the video, but it's very handy. So you go in and you say, okay, I want to start the Vienna Ensemble Pro server. They have a standalone that can run by itself without the server. That's fine, but it doesn't really service our purposes here. We want to be able to have Pro Tools talk to Vienna Ensemble. So we start that up, and then we come back. Oh, and you start it up, and then we have this blank canvas, basically, right? So this is the server, and nothing's going on there. No, it's just waiting for someone to talk to it, right? So we come back to Pro Tools, and Pro Tools, we say, okay, now we look at it and we say, oh, well, it's saying I found now the server because the server just got started, and I can now click on the new and say connect, and now I can go ahead and make that happen. And when I do that, all of a sudden I have a instance of VEP ready to roll. It just pulls up one channel of nothing. It's just a channel. It's a master channel, much like a mixer master channel. And it just kind of gets ready for me to start putting in plugins. So you could think of VEP as a virtual instrument of virtual instruments. You're going to be able to load as many as you can. It'll take until it starts running out of horsepower itself, and you can work from there. But basically, you can load in several different kinds of instruments. I like using Contact a lot in my work, and so it works really well in VEP. So you can run 1, 2, 3, or 4, different instances of Contact, or other synthesizers, or other virtual instruments that you like to use, and you can go from there. So let's go ahead, and you can see now that basically, let's see, am I looking? Oh, yeah, I'm live here. Okay, so basically, so here we are connected now, and we are looking at Pro Tools. So what we want to do is now get this talking, and you'll notice in Pro Tools I have this is my template, my song template, what I start with, and the purple channels here basically are representing kind of some things I'm going to be doing in VEP. So I'm going to show you what that looks like. So I'm going to switch over to Chrome. There's my Chrome, and now here's my desktop over in my Mac Mini, and I just pop it up right in front of me. So here's where my templates start kicking in. So I can come in here and I can say, well, I want to open up my template. And I'm going to go ahead and open up what I call my main one template. And if you look back on my thing, I have a main one right here, right? And there's 3 channels I have set up with main one. It's a piano, a bass, and a sub bass. Kind of my starting scratch pad of things. I use bass a lot. I use piano almost all the time on my stuff. So I'm going to start with that, right? So I come back here and I load that in. And basically it loads it right up. You saw how fast it is. Now that's one of the things that's kind of nice about that little Mac Mini. It's a newer machine. It's got really nice memory and hard drive in it, and it's super fast loading. So that's faster than my older Mac Pro from 2012. It's quite slow. Even though I put new hard drives in it, it's still quite slow because of just the technology at the time. So here's where it gets a little tricky. Okay, so here's Contact. So if I click here, it's going to pull up, and bam, there's Contact. And if those of you who are familiar with Contact, you'll know what it is. There's my Alicia keys. Is my, I don't know if it's a secret weapon. I use her keyboard piano on almost everything. I just love that sound. A little bass that I use for what I'm mocking up stuff until I can grab the real bass and play my parts in. A nice little sub bass that it just works for pretty much everything. So those 3 things are there. And then I set the MIDI channel, and I set an output. Now, Contact can do tons of different outputs. And if you look at your thing, you can look at the outputs here. So here's all the outputs all across here. I have 16 of them set up, I think. So more than that. I have 28 of them set up. So that's a lot of channels of outputs. That's coming out of Contact. Those outputs become these channels over here on this side. So I have output 2, output 3, output 4 correlating with these channels here, output 2, output 3, output 4, and those are now coming into this little mixer here, right? Those are going to go back to Pro Tools, right? And so when we go back to Pro Tools, they come back into here, and I set those on the inputs of these channels. And Pro Tools has a kind of a cool little thing. Since it didn't know I had Vienna in there first, it doesn't really know where I'm going. So I can actually come in and I can use a little keystroke. It's actually Shift, Option, and Command on a Mac. And you can come into the program, and there's my Vienna Pro, my main one. And I can say start with 3 and 4, which is output 2, a little confusing, and just click there, and it actually goes 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, plugs those in for me. I can do the same thing on the MIDI channels. I can come up to main 1, and come up here, and I can say start with channel 2. I have to do that. It's a little bit of a weird thing with the way that Pro Tools work. Channel 1 is reserved for the main one. I don't like using the main one because I want that one to be where I have the virtual instrument loaded, and I don't want to have that. I want it to be called main 1, and I don't want it to be called piano. I want it to be called main 1. It's my OCD. Sorry, but that's kind of the way it works. So I start with channel 2, and I do the same thing, channel 2, channel 3, channel 4, and now those correlate. And actually, I'm rocking at this point, and you can actually hear there's my piano, and here's some bass, and then everything. And that's all actually playing through. You can see it. It's playing right over here in VEP. So what's cool about that is you can do that, and then you could, if you wanted, you could add. This is all called an instance here. Now I could load a more elaborate instance if I wanted. I could call up one of my orchestration templates here. So we'll load that in real quick. And if we pull that up, it's the same kind of idea. It's going to take a little bit longer because it's really big libraries for my strings. Here we go. So here we have my violins, my violas, my cellos, my basses. Over here we have a string ensemble. So it's like I can kind of just play the chords, or actually like tremolos and things like that are a lot easier sometimes, just playing them all the chord at once. I have a real nice choir, but you'll notice I actually have 2 instances of Kontakt playing. And so this one has the string sections that I use here for this particular instance. And then I'm actually going to pop this out like that. And then over here I have another one where I actually have the string ensemble there, and then I have my omnious choir sections all put together there. Making my, loading that in. And those are big libraries. Those are fine. I can't run all of that really successfully in one Kontakt, but I can run it in 2 contacts, and I can run it inside of one instance. Now, there's nothing at all keeping me from setting up another instance with yet another set of, another set of orchestration stuff. So I could set up this orchestration stuff and it'll load that in. And so this template is kind of like all of my orchestration solo instruments. So a solo flute, solo oboe, violin, cello, French horn, and then some ensembles like winds and brass, percussion, timpani. So I have some other stuff here. And again, 2 instances of Kontakt and whatever. And all I would do is over here in Pro Tools, again, I would just kind of set up like another, I would only need to put 1 instance of Kontakt, or excuse me, a Vienna ensemble per instance. So even though I have 2 Kontakts, I don't have to put 2 of them in. I only put 1 for each instance. So this would be 1 instance of Vienna. And then to reach those other ones, I'd come over and maybe in here, I'd go ahead and say, as a matter of fact, let's do that real quick. I'd say, let's put another instance here. And it's going to load it in. I'm going to open it up, pull it over here for you to see, and I'm going to say connect, and I'm going to say open that up and connect, and it is now connected to the second one. You can title those if you like, so I could say org2. If I come back here, it now says org2, and now it's all talking. And again, I would go through, and I could go through, and I've got those labeled as drums and stuff, but I could come through and I could say label these as violins, 1, 2, violas, and whatever, and go through and they do that quick trick to assign the MIDI channels and whatnot. There's plenty of MIDI channels. There's 128 MIDI channels per Vienna instance, and then you can bring back up to 32 channels of audio, stereo audio. So here's the output. So, 32 mono channels, so 16 stereo channels. It's plenty. But again, and that's per instance. So you can actually have 2 or 3 instances depending on how powerful your machine is. So the nice thing about that is you can kind of set up these little small template instances that you can just go, okay, I'm doing orchestration strings today, or I'm doing some pop stuff where I just need some, piano and bass and some maybe some basic drum stuff or whatever, and it's all ready for you right there. You don't have to make these big monstrosity templates. You can kind of have smaller ones, but they're all kind of right there, ready to go, and they load up fast and everything like that, and you're ready to rip. So, and again, all of that is the horsepower is now sitting on a different machine. That little Mac Mini, it's small, but it's actually more powerful than my big Mac Pro from, my Mac Pro is is 15 years old or whatever it is, right? So it's nuts. So it's not hard, and I think I picked that Mac Mini up for a few $100. It was not that expensive because it was an older one. It's not the new M1 chips or anything like that. It was just something I picked up used, and it was great. So it's just a really good way to kind of keep growing your arsenal of stuff, and be able to still get some nice libraries into your creative flow, but without spending tons and tons and tons of money. But the VEP, I got to say, is one of my favorite tools. It has saved me so many times, being able to stretch what I do have, and be able to get more out of it than I probably would have normally been able to do. So it's been really nice that way. So I hope that this video has helped a little bit, and helps you kind of find some ways to maybe get some more out of your machines, and be able to find a way to maybe use some templates and stuff to help you get to where you can be creating quicker and being more in the moment of your music, as opposed to worrying about the technical side of it. Kind of get the stuff set up so you can just drop it in and go. And I think that's a real positive thing to doing what we want to do. So hopefully that helps, and let's all go out there and make some magic.